I personally became fond of the geese in a very direct way when studying painting. I'm also a watercolor painter at the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens, and I saw geese and ducklings and their moms all the time wading in the streams, and the idea that somebody would harm these beautiful creatures was just completely anathema to me. But we're dealing with government officials and people in power such as Bloomberg, probably the richest politician in American history, who came into New York with a net worth as mayor in 2001 of $7 billion, and this mayor, who supposedly divested himself of his business interest to avoid a conflict of interest, was now ranked by the New York Times recently, and I believe Vanity Fair's list of the richest Americans, worth $28 billion. So he amassed quite a tidy sum while in office. The people in office are not coming from a place of heart. They're ostensibly, and their cover and their smokescreen is a place of rationality. They supposedly deal in facts and policies. And part of our job, and it has been successful, has been to expose the irrationality of their rational policies. I want to offer some historical perspective on air safety and how absurd and bogus it is, and what a smokescreen it is for what I think many of us have pointed out is going on underneath. In 1982, I was part of the struggle in New York City to defend the PATCO Air Traffic Controllers Union. I went to many meetings, demonstrations, marches on Washington, and met Ramsey Clark, the former Attorney General under Lyndon Johnson, who's an admirable civil libertarian for many years, was the head of the coalition. The reason we wanted to save PATCO was that we wanted to protect workers and people who fly in the air to have safe air travel. PATCO workers were trying to leverage to get more pay than I believe their existing $30,000 a year salary. They were lambasted and excoriated in the media for being greedy and selfish, for working 60-hour shifts, overtime, and in extremely stressful conditions just to have a decent wage to protect all of us. President Reagan at the time made sure that the PATCO union was smashed. And that was the first strike and first blow in what has continued today in a long series of strikes against working people in this country. Whether it's people whether it's the abolition of OSHA or infringement on OSHA's ability to protect us, or recently we're seeing a complete nationwide attack on teachers. Teachers are being demonized in the media. This is all part of the same policy. But I want to give you one incident that I will never forget as long as I live. Shortly after I moved back to New York, there was a horrific air crash over the Potomac. I got a call from a friend in Washington. It was a mid-air collision. And there was one man who made headlines because he was in the river in some type of lifeboat. And he kept going in and out of that boat, bringing people in. He himself drowned while saving 4 other people. But while he was doing this, what was President Reagan doing? He was having dinner in the White House. Nero was fiddling while Rome was burning. He did not summon the National Guard or anybody or any of the helicopters from the Pentagon to rescue these people. So what does it mean for government officials to say on the one hand that they want to protect public safety, and on the other hand to have this type of history? Bloomberg himself obviously hasn't done anything so crass, unless you want to look at his record of safety with the numbers of people who have fallen and plummeted to their deaths in crane accidents since he's been mayor. Under his watch, more people have died in crane accidents than anyone else. Which brings me back to this. You know, the people in power, whether Republicans or Democrats, are constantly singing the tune of fiscal austerity and cutbacks of all human services and services to protect nature and wildlife. It's all part of one package deal. And I read an email recently sent to a number of people by Pamela Rice, who's head of the Viva Veggie Society. And that email had to do with rebates and pork barrel rebates in New York to farmers. These farmers are all gentlemen, wealthy farmers from the super rich. One of them, Mark Rockefeller, heir to the Rockefeller fortune, was given a $330,000 rebate by New York State to refrain from farming his land. Now, if we have money, if we have $330,000 to pay Mark Rockefeller, then we have money to pay for those trucks that clean up the geese by the hour in the park. We have the money for that. We have the money